Dead Cells is one of the best roguelike metroidvania games of the last decade. Its engaging combat, memorable locations, and randomized areas make for non-stop fun that is always a joy to go back to. Earlier this year, Dead Cells dropped its 4th expansion, Return to Castlevania, featuring characters, bosses, enemies, and of course music from the iconic series. And I'm going to go over all of them, as well as give my overall thoughts of the DLC, and more importantly, what exactly happens in it. First things first, let's talk about how to access the DLC. In the opening area of the game, you can head down a flight of stairs where you will encounter Richter Belmont. He'll inform you that he's here to stop Dracula, and the path to the castle courtyard opens. From here, you'll face off with familiar Castlevania enemies, as well as meet up with Alucard, who will allow you to travel into Dracula's castle. Once you make your way through here, it's time to climb those stairs to face Dracula, but first, a trap is sprung. That's right, you get sucked into the underworld for a boss against Dracula's second-in-command, Death. After his defeat, Alucard will inform you that you have to pretty much restart your run in order to actually face Dracula. So, you restart your run, and you make it to the clock tower, where after defeating the timekeeper in the clock room, you gain access to a harder Dracula's castle, where you have to face off with Medusa here in order to get the key to the Master's Keep. Once you do that, you enter the Master's Keep, you climb the staircase, and here you get to face off with Dracula, and you guessed it, he turns into a giant bat creature for a second more powerful form. Once Dracula is defeated, the castle crumbles, and our heroes stand side by side with Richter and Alucard to watch the show. This DLC is fantastic. I feel like Dead Cells perfectly captures the feel of the Castlevania games, as well as the difficulty. This is pretty challenging stuff, especially the final battle against Dracula. Honestly, it is just so nice and refreshing to have a game that has these familiar Castlevania enemies and these familiar Castlevania locations and these familiar Castlevania music and characters and etc. Because goddamn, it's been a while since we've truly had something like this. I mean, I guess you can kind of count Smash Brothers and Simon's and Richter's inclusion there, but that's a completely different thing. You know, that's a fighting game spin-off. This is an actual Metroidvania type game. And it's a lot of fun. I love the combat and gameplay mechanics of Dead Cells in general, and I would love to see a Castlevania game in the future that actually has this similar type of gameplay. Not to mention that there are a multitude of weapons you can unlock from across the Castlevania series that make the gameplay and combat so much more engaging and a lot more fun. These weapons include the Vampire Killer as well as the Morning Star. You can get the Whip Sword from various Metroidvania titles. You know, the sub-weapons including the Bible, the Throwing Axe, a Cross, Holy Water, and even the Rebound Stone. You can also summon enemies like the Medusa Head or a volley of bats or Maria's cat. You can also unlock Alucard's sword and shield and even Death's scythe. There is so much awesome weaponry and content here. It's fantastic. And on top of all of that, there's also a multitude of unlockable costumes you can get. Costumes and outfits is a very common thing in Dead Cells. There is a whole bunch of them, and the Castlevania DLC adds a lot of characters from the Castlevania series, including Simon Belmont, Richter Belmont, Trevor Belmont, Alucard, Maria Renard, Sypha Belnades, the Axe Armor of all things, Hector, Death, Dracula, and Matthias fucking Kronkvist. That's awesome! Not to mention, all of them, for the most part, I mean, Death, Dracula, and Matthias are exceptions, but the other ones actually look just like the characters. It's not just an outfit that your main character can wear. You basically become these characters. And what's really cool is that each playable, actual character has unique dialogue with Dracula. And if you play as the Richter skin, you guessed it, they do the entire Symphony of the Night opening dialogue. I love this. I love everything about this. And if that wasn't enough content for you, let's talk about the music. Because this DLC gives us some amazing remixes of some of the most beloved Castlevania songs. And if that wasn't enough for you, there's also a new soundtrack option to replace every song in the game with songs from across the Castlevania series. That is awesome. And one of my favorite parts of this DLC is going to all the different biomes in Dead Cells and just wondering, oh man, I wonder what Castlevania song is going to appear in this area. And they do some deep cuts. Although, huge missed opportunity to not play Castlevania 4's Treasury Room in the Vault area. Honestly, a little disappointed with that. Oh, and guess what? If that still was not enough content for you, there's also a secret Richter mode, where you get to play a short level as Richter Belmont, complete with his moveset from Symphony of the Night. And yes, you get to whip candles in this mode, and you get to collect hearts and sub-weapons, and you unlock more of his moveset, and it's great. It's so good. I love that they put a Richter mode in this game, and the way you access it is by going to the inverted castle. I love this so much. This DLC is such an incredible love letter to the Castlevania series, and I couldn't be happier with it. Honestly, I really hope this is the start of something new for the series, like maybe a future actual Castlevania game in this style? Please? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you're enjoying Castlevania Month so far. Coming up next, we have one final cover finishing up the Castle Trilogy, and then it's on to the super secret surprise for Halloween. See you then.